All right. Welcome back to Shells and Shadows. Today I'm here with a good friend of mine, Dave Phillips, who happens to live in Salt Lake City in the area. So it worked out really well that I could come and visit and set up the studio and have you on the show. So thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, Yehuda. It's a beautiful studio here.
Thank you. So we've kind of been talking about what direction we want to go in this. And one thing that came up is the idea of like cognitive distortion and how mindfulness plays into that, and some of the work you've been doing with mentors to kind of develop mindfulness. So I'm thinking we could share some ideas with people, successes that you've had in that area that could help someone if they're trying to live a more mindful life.
Yeah, so mindfulness is one of my foundations of my recent life. Probably 3-4 years is when I've really been focusing on being mindful. And with that comes the way you think, behave, and react in life, whether that's to confrontational situations or job interviews or just daily life interactions with friends, family, or people on the street. And for cognitive distortions, if you're not familiar, is these sneaky little thoughts that come up in your head whenever you're in a specific situation. So it really can alter your view of the world. The reality that you see, that I see, sometimes is not reality at all. It's completely subjective. And some examples of these cognitive distortions that I do, one of the biggest ones is mind reading. So you could give me a look, and I will immediately think like, oh no, this guy Yehuda, he's pissed off at me, and I haven't even spoken to you yet, or I haven't even met you yet, and my whole world shifts to, what did I do? Why is this guy angry? Or it can be as little as you're typing to your boss and you make a typo and you send it, and now you say, I'm gonna lose my job, I'm gonna get demoted, and you just catastrophize over everything. So like these little thoughts affecting your perception of reality can really just spiral somebody into negative thinking all the time. And it's happened to me plenty, and just like working through this and being cognizant of the way I'm thinking and the way I'm seeing things has been really helpful to me getting through situations in every aspect of my life, and building and rebuilding relationships with friends and family has been really, really helpful when focusing on my own mind and thoughts.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I don't think you're alone in that. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I also talk to other people who do this. I don't know exactly why. I think we see the world, like you said, through a lens that we sometimes create and then distort based on our conditioning, experiences, biases. So that feeling of knowing thinking you know what other people think about you, like, you know, that classic, like you walk into a party and you think everyone's looking at you and what are they thinking of me? What grounds me in that situation is realizing that everyone's doing that. Everyone is thinking about themselves, what others might be thinking about them. It's kind of just been I guess that is like a mindfulness tactic to just like separate yourself, right? To kind of like hover in your awareness above the room and realize what's actually going on. So I guess what tools specifically in those moments help you shift out of that, help you, I guess, like revert your attention onto something else?
I mean, I wish it was that easy. And there are specific things that I'll do sometimes, and like throughout the years of constant reminding myself and checking myself, it's become easier, but it still happens all the time. And like what you said, just like reminding yourself that everyone's focused on themselves, and at the end of the day, nobody actually noticed you walk into the room. And the second that you start to catch yourself wandering and thinking, oh, this guy might be thinking that, or this girl might be thinking this, you don't know. And you have to just like recenter yourself and be like, I don't know. I don't even know, I don't even know this person.
Right.
How would I even know what they're possibly thinking about me? And just kind of leave it at that. And the next time it happens, and the next time it happens, and then after that, and it will slowly start to happen less. And when it does happen, you'll be able to catch yourself quicker, and the thought will go away.
Yeah. And I feel like with some just like issues that one might have, the response is to tap into like the emotional side of what's going on with my emotions here. But with this, it feels very easy to break out of it using like logic and reason over emotional thinking, because emotions will take you into that place of anxiety and fear about what other people are thinking. But if you can think logically about it, right, it doesn't make sense logically that when you walk into that room, this stranger is having these negative thoughts about you, right? If the situation was different and you have other evidence to believe that they were, then okay, like fine. But if you don't have that, then you can like maybe catch your brain trying to jump to conclusions and create a circumstance that isn't there, because it's safe to know what you think people are thinking when you walk into the room, right? In some way, it's safer to know that they think something negative about you because you've established that that's reality, versus I wonder what they could be thinking. That's open-ended. That's unknown. Maybe I'm just thinking out loud here, but that could be part of like why it happens to us.
I mean, like humans, we're all emotional. A lot of our decisions are based off of our emotions. And that's like when the mindfulness comes into play of the way you think, which changes the way you behave and react to situations. And, I lost my train of thought. Remind me of what we were just.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also now lost in my train of thought. But I guess with any like meditation practice or like mindfulness practice, once you lose your train of thought, you have to like bring it back, right? Do you do any meditation practices, or is that a part of like mindfulness for you?
Not for me. For me, it was in the beginning when I first tried controlling this or managing these invasive thoughts. It was literally exercises on paper. And I would look up cognitive distortion exercises.
Cool.
And it would show me a list of, I think there's 10 main ones.
Do you know what some of them are besides?
Yeah. There's mind reading, catastrophizing, black and white thinking, which is all or nothing thinking. There's a lot that I guarantee you will resonate with at least 3 of them, if not more. And
right. at least at times, right, when you're not in your best place and you are falling back on these just like safety mechanisms, really, because that's what they are.
Yeah, it's exactly what they are. It's our mind is trying to anticipate threats, and we pick out things. And when you're already running on high anxiety, or you're depressed, or your cortisol levels are up, you're looking for things to make you feel safe and looking for solid like evidence of something. And that's why if you see someone look at you weird, you think you need to make sense of something.
Yeah.
And you need to have an answer to it because it's uncomfortable to not have answers, at least for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. What I've found in just conversations with people and just my own exploration is that the first step is obviously awareness, becoming aware of these like cognitive distortions. But there's living with them and recognizing them as something that's negative, and that's the first step, right? Saying, okay, this is, or maybe not negative, but like not ideal, and that's fair. These aren't ideal ways of living. It reduces your quality of life. But then I feel like there's the next step, which is saying that these are here for a purpose. These have served me in the past, at least at times when I needed to think this way, because that's what got me through. The actual intention behind these cognitive distortions were to keep me safe and protect me and keep me alive. And that's a good thing. However, it's outdated. I've found that when I try and push these tendencies away, they often come back to bite me harder, because this saying I live by is like, what's repressed gets expressed. And so like learning how to be in dialogue in a weird way with these cognitive distortions, I found that you can learn, well, what is the actual purpose of this? Why is it here? And then you can find other things to replace that. So if the purpose of was storytelling, was it? Where you're assuming what other people are thinking?
Mind reading.
Mind reading. The purpose of mind reading is to understand what other people think of me. Well, then instead of doing that, the solution might be to have more vulnerable conversations with people around me, to be able to actually receive the positive feedback from them about like how they feel about our relationship. Then you've replaced that, because you're able to actually go and get valid proof. And now you lean on that.
Yeah, I mean, this goes kind of perfectly into one of the things I was taught by this mentor of mine. And he talks about how you get through struggles and how you get through life in general. And it's an acronym, HOW. So H is honesty. And honesty is one of my foundations of my being and my daily interactions. And I know that if I'm not honest, I'm going to feel guilty. And more often than not, by lying, I'm hurting the other person, whether that's hurting them by not telling them the truth, trying to, protect them from the truth, when in the end, all that does is make it worse because the truth comes out. Or also then moving on to the O, which is open-mindedness. So being open-minded to right now, hearing about these distortions or hearing someone else's experience, being open-minded to take a step where someone has a suggestion for you and you say, okay, I'm going to try it. Or your friend changing your default answer from no to yes. If your friend asks you to come and do something, say yes. It's really important. Even if you've never done it or you've done it 10 times and you don't want to do it again, just say yes to it. And then W is willingness. And if you're willing to be honest and open-minded, willing to confront your cognitive distortions and be in uncomfortable mental places, that HOW is like exactly how I'll get through my toughest times in every aspect.
Yeah. How do you think saying yes contributes to this? There's this attempt to live a life without these cognitive distortions and to face them. What would someone saying yes more often do to help them in that pursuit?
It will, I mean, of course, don't say yes to absolutely everything,
Right.
but say yes more than you say no. And that opens up so many opportunities for you just to smile, to meet people. And in my last year of life, moving to Utah, where I only knew one person, saying yes has really helped me get through my times where I felt really lonely and isolated. And just going out and doing stuff has really helped just get me through tough times and bring me to a point where now I'm going to move forward to another move back to Colorado. And I'm for sure pretty nervous and uncomfortable about that, about going again and moving. And so saying yes just brings these opportunities to you. And if you say yes and you do something and you don't like it, don't do it again, but you said yes. And you don't want to be that friend that people no longer ask to do things because all you do is say no.
Yeah, and I think beyond beyond saying yes to what other people are asking of you, learning how to understand what life is asking of you, right? Without the verbal ask of, do you want to go skiing, or do you want to come over, or do you want to go on a camping trip? Those are things that it's easy to say yes to because someone's asking you and it's a yes or no question. The idea that it's less about what you are asking of life, but more what life is asking of you, like learning to understand what opportunities are coming your way. Again, maybe not a direct question of, do you want to, or are you going to decline this offer, but an opportunity to lean into an experience. Like, this is this is a small example, but there's a homeless guy sitting outside my office a few days ago, and like, I'll give tzedakah, but I'll usually just like give it and say like have a good day and move on. But like, I decided to start talking to this guy. I didn't have to, but I was like, screw it, right? Like, let me say yes to this opportunity. And he started just telling me about his life. And it was a really cool interaction that I otherwise wouldn't have had. Like, no one's in those situations, no one's asking you if you want to or not. But there's that little like voice in your head that says, oh, I lean into this, right? It's like learning how to listen to that. I think that's where the biggest yes moments can come out.
I completely agree. That's a great example of, just being willing to listen to that little voice in your head or your gut. Because I'll tell you that those two things are right more than they're not. Mm-hmm. And, I struggle with it quite often, of trying to make myself think that that voice or that feeling's wrong. It's come back to bite me in the butt a few times, and it's all work in progress. But being able to accept how you're feeling, like you were saying, is really important, and it takes a lot of work, and it takes a really strong person to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I like how you brought it back to like a physical experience. It's not just like a feeling of hearing a voice, right? It's also like a sensation, like in your head or in your gut specifically. I think as men, sometimes we live in our heads, not just men, but from my experience, the men I've talked to, it's like, it's easy to live in your head, but like getting into like your heart and your gut, like this is like your emotional center, and this is like your primal like instincts, your gut, that gut feeling. That's like inner knowledge, inner knowing that you don't really consciously think of, but you can feel it, and it's very quick. If you shut it off, it kind of goes away. If you start listening to it, it'll be guy. Well, if you start leaning into it,
yeah,
and like saying yes to that like intuition, let's say,
Mm.
you start to like build that muscle more of being able to really like know what is best for me.
Yeah, just like trusting that your subconscious knows best.
Yeah, what's a situation where like you knew in your gut one answer was right, but you convinced yourself otherwise, and it ended up like biting you in the butt?
Let me think here. Uh,
Put you on the spot there.
yeah, well, so I'll just keep it general here that some of us have been in situations in relationships where one thing's going a certain way and your brain is going in a different way. And I don't know how to say this without being specific, and I don't want to be specific.
Okay.
You stumped me there.
Okay. So do you want me to go first?
Sure.
I'll share something.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a time where the weather was really awful and I was supposed to go like off-roading, and it was the middle of winter. Like there was snow and I had stock tires, and I decided I knew it wasn't a good idea. I didn't listen to that.
Yeah.
I went anyway, and I had to have like a rescue team come and pull my truck off of like a slope that it could have started rolling with us in it. And it was really bad. And I was like, I'm going to listen to that next time. So that's just an example on that area. I think another, when you started talking about relationships, we asked the question, well, how do I know if this person is right for me? And we do, but then we know this is my person, but no, maybe they're not, maybe they are. And it's this game of like, we don't know what to listen to within ourselves to determine that. So the rabbi actually, I don't know, he'll be thrilled that I'm saying this, but he gave me an analogy that his friend gave him. It's like, no, like how do you know if this is the right girl for you or not, right? This is the person you should give your life to, spend your time with. And so he asked his friend, he goes, well, how do I know if this is the right person? And his friend goes, I'm gonna excuse my language, well, how do you know when you're done taking a shit? How do you know? You just know. Right? Like your body knows when you're moving in the right direction or not. Your body knows what your needs are. Don't question it, right? Obviously don't follow all of your like physical desires. That's not what we're saying, but how do you know? You know.
Yeah, you do. If you have to force yourself to feel something, then it's not real, I think. Let me rephrase that. It's a real feeling, but if you have to force yourself to think a certain way about a certain situation or person, then you don't know.
Right.
And you're not going to know this right away. And there's going to be, checks and balances of these feelings that come back and forth, especially in the beginning of relationships, friendships, or romantic. They happen in all of those. And I really cherish interaction and connection with people. And I feel emotions pretty hard sometimes. And to bring it back to what I was saying earlier is that's why I have to focus so hard on those things, because I feel things a lot. And if I don't try and control them or manage them, it won't be good for my mental health short term. there's this quote by one of the Stoics. I don't know if you know the Stoics, the philosophers. So Seneca, and this has been going on in my mind for a few weeks now, constantly, and it's don't suffer imagined troubles. It'll either happen or it won't. Don't suffer before you have to.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been, you know, how the world works. Quotes come up on your phone randomly at the times you need to hear them the most, or you hear them from people. And I really needed to hear that the past few weeks, past couple of months, because I get stuck in my head about worrying and future tripping.
Right.
And, you know, I've spoken to the Rabbi Wilhelm about this. I've spoken to Rabbi Zippel about this here in Salt Lake, as well as my family and my friends. And there's a common theme here that it seems like most people worry and live in the future or the past more than they live in the present.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I've been trying to work on as well, and actually help other people work on that, who have been through situations that are similar to me.
Yeah, and once you have been able to understand that experience you've had, you have the ability to offer it to someone else, offer like guidance. And even if you don't know the answers, you can just be there to tell someone, hey, like, you know, I've had experiences like this too, where I have these cognitive distortions, and yeah, man, like you're not unique here. You're not alone, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
That alone can help someone break out of that, because they realize that this isn't this problem that they alone have and are doomed to face on their own. But also, like, to give yourself some credit, you are about to make a huge move, life transition. I'm sure that brings some of these, like, heightens some of these things, but is also an opportunity for you to like really stand strong in that, in the efforts you've been making.
Yeah, I mean, I had this option. I had the opportunity to move here, and now I have an opportunity to move to Denver. And I said yes to them. Didn't say yes to Denver, but I decided that would be long-term, a more healthy situation for me, even though right now I'm super comfortable being here. And, you know, I have my bed, I have my room, and all my refrigerator's full. I know where the Costco is. I'm comfortable here, but I should move. So I'm going to. But like,
isn't should thinking like a distortion?
yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right. It is.
Nah, you're not trying to settle, man. Like,
no, but
you're
like,
not trying to settle.
Yeah, but it's different, because when someone says you should do this, or like I recommend it, sometimes people will take it as though they're saying you have to do this.
I know.
I do that.
Yeah.
And but that's not why I'm moving to Denver.
Right.
I do want a different community, and, you know, you said a lot of good things in the past 6 minutes, and just like I have a reminder on my phone every day to do a mitzvah, and it doesn't say what, it just says do a mitzvah. And for me, that can be as little as making somebody smile in the grocery store, or, you know, helping the person that works at the gas station pick up something that fell, and can be as large as, I don't know, buying your little sister dinner. And doing those mitzvahs have helped me become more present. And also, shout out Rabbi Wilhelm. Once again, he's helped me get closer to God and Judaism, which has been a huge part of my life also. And I know Yehuda is very important to you as well.
Yeah, definitely shout out Rabbi Wilhelm, who's also been on the podcast and probably will be again.
He should be.
I appreciate you sharing all that. Funny enough, when you were talking about how like you're comfortable here and you have this, where the Costco is, there's like a safety to that, but you're still going to go out. You're going to go across the Rockies and you're going to go to Denver. And it might be more difficult in the short term of like having to set up a new life and whatnot, but probably more rewarding in the long term, versus staying here would be easier in the short term, but maybe more difficult in the long term. It reminds, like the penguin thing on Instagram.
Yeah.
The penguin that's going off into the mountains and leaving his.
Yeah, I know the penguin.
Yeah, right. Like, dude, you're being the penguin.
Yeah, embrace the penguin.
Yep.
I think it's important to remember that when you're trying to make changes in your life, you can only start making changes from where you are right now, not physically, but mentally, where you are right now. You can't change your past and you can't change your future, but you can change what happens right now. And that's really important distinction, because trying to control everything isn't going to work out, because I can't control you and I can't control the speed of how long it takes for that red light to turn green. But I can control pretty much everything about myself and the way I think. And just trying to like move forward with your life in a way that if you want to make a change about something, whether that's moving, whether that's, I don't know, let's say you want to get out of school and graduate. You have to change from like where you are right now at this second, rather than where you were last semester.
Yeah, or on like a really, really small level, your breath. If you are someone who's prone to like panic attacks, I've had people in my life that are, and learning how to control one's breath can be the difference between spiraling out into a full-blown panic attack to having an opportunity to control the breath and move out of it. The quote by Viktor Frankl, that everything can be taken but a man, but the last of human freedoms, the ability to choose one's way in any given set of circumstances. That is what we're talking about here. That no matter what's going on in the future, no matter what happened in the past, no matter what other people are doing around you, what is in your control, everything can be taken out of everything that you have control over can be taken, but the ability to reframe your mind, right? To change your attitude, to look at things in a different way. So that's what comes to mind. And in a very extreme example, I mean, Viktor Frankl lived through the Holocaust and he literally had everything taken: his wife, his unborn child, his life's work, and a manuscript that he carried in his jacket that was taken away from him. All these things, but what he says helped him survive is that exact freedom to reframe his circumstances, and it was his mindset that moved him through that.
I think you throughout this podcast, I've been noticing you and I look at these things in a little bit of different viewpoints. In I kind of have been, and I like to hear what you have to say, because I focus on things as like big picture, huge changes. And part of that's probably because of my, where I am in life right now. But I can catch myself through this entire podcast, like having these different distortions of, I lost my train of thought earlier, so this whole podcast is screwed up now. And
which is like totally false. Just from an outsider,
I know,
telling you. Yes.
I know, but like,
know
see, that's the type of thing, and it happens.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll look back and I say, this is a great podcast. Maybe not. I still got to spend my time with you and hear your cool information and cool thoughts on everything that we've talked about. I think it's really nice to be able to like actually have dialogue with people that not about topics like politics or anything like that, but about like emotional topics. Or I know you like psychology and philosophy. I know you're a thinker, so I think it's cool. Not many people like to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point, though. Not everyone wants to talk about this stuff, but even if we both walk away and we're like, yeah, that podcast sucked, if someone listens to it and they feel understood and they feel empowered with a new way to look at life, just one person, then the podcast didn't suck. And even though we may have felt like, oh, we bombed that, man, like that was terrible, if someone else can benefit from it, right? If someone else walks away after listening to this feeling that their life has improved a little bit, then it was worth it. That's kind of the mindset I take when going into these, because they can be really high pressure cameras, lights, and everything like that. But yeah, no, like why are we here? Why are we having this conversation? It's because these ideas matter, right? And if you're giving a voice to that, then there's no way to make it suck.
It's definitely, that's a great point. For me, if back when I was really struggling, going through some things, I felt heard and understood one time by my mentor, Rob, and he's taught me all these things. But I think without this guy, I would not be the person I am right now. And that was from just a few conversations of him being able to relate to me. And so maybe someone that listens relates to one of the things I say, or one of the things you say. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The podcasts are interesting because you don't know. It's not like you're talking to anyone else. You're not on a live stream. Right.
Yeah, it is interesting. This is going down a weird rabbit hole here, but sometimes when I'm recording, I'm like listening to the content we're sharing through the lens of someone who may be watching this when it's eventually posted. And in that sense, it does feel to me like there is an audience, even though it's not right now, but there is a future audience of some sorts. And so that helps me really connect to like the person that I might be speaking to, for example. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Do you have any experience then? I mean, we can just like bring it back. Do you have any experience with how honesty plays a role in your life?
Yeah. I've been working a lot recently on being honest with others about just the little things that may bother me or offend me or hurt me or whatever in my close relationships, the moment that it happens, rather than letting it build up because I don't want to like offend someone or hurt their feelings, and then it's just like this resentment carried, and that like burdens me, and then it burdens them like really long term. Again, that's one of those things where in the short term it's like really uncomfortable to do, and I've had like confrontations. I'm like, hey, like this wasn't cool with me, I need to let you know. But then afterwards you can move through it and you're not carrying it. So yeah, like again, not only for their sake, also for my sake, so I'm not carrying that weight as well.
Well, you talk about resentment. That's a heavy thing.
It is.
Resentment. And so it's good you found a way to try and prevent some of that stuff, because resentments weigh a lot on people.
Yeah, I agree. I have some like rapid fire questions.
All right, go ahead.
And we can go back and forth on them, but
you're making me nervous now.
No, don't worry.
Right, I'll sit up.
Okay. Okay. Describe an instance or the feeling of letting in a compliment rather than disqualifying it.
Oh. How do you know about this one?
You sent me
this was on my list.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I can't. Compliments are really hard for me. And I don't know why. But I'll get a compliment and I'll discount that like it's nothing. And I don't know why. It's really hard. And my mom will give me a compliment and I'll brush it off, or I'll compliment someone back to get that attention off of me. So like, I don't have a good answer for you on that, because I'm terrible at it. I cannot accept compliments.
Yeah, no, I've experienced that before.
Mm-hmm.
You almost like send it right back in return because it's like it's uncomfortable to carry at times. Yeah. I've experienced that. Okay, well, don't get uncomfortable by this, but I think that a lot of the ideas that you like brought here and shared here today are very valuable. So. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'm not uncomfortable by that, and I appreciate it.
Just like I want you to internalize it, so I'm just sharing that with you now.
Thank you, Yehuda.
Of course, bro.
Most of the compliments that I can't accept are like either physical, based off appearance, or performance.
Okay, yeah.
Like skiing, or when I used to play lacrosse, can't accept those.
Yeah, that's that distortion.
Mm-hmm.
When I was like 18, I was huge in like bodybuilding. It was my life. Like I was in the gym like twice a day,
really,
on a regimented diet plan, taking all these sorts of supplements, natural, but still. And I could never appreciate when people would like compliment me on like my physique or whatnot. I would look in the mirror and I wouldn't be able to see what other people saw in the way. And I look back on like photos from then. I mean, I don't look the same as I did. My lifestyle's changed and I'm not that intense with it. But I look back and it's a little sad. It's like, wow, I did well in this, this area where I really was passionate about it. And I put so much of my time and attention into this. And I looked good and I was succeeding. I was putting up really great numbers. And like the powerlifting training I was doing, couldn't see any of it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like seeing it with different eyes now when I look back at those photos. So it really reminds me of that power that distortion can have over the way we see ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. What's an area in your life where you're now choosing progress over perfection?
Probably exactly what you just talked about in the fitness. I've got back in the gym a few months ago, been on a very strict meal plan 4 times a day. And it gets frustrating sometimes because I'm cooking all the time. When I do miss a meal, I have to make sure that I don't get in my head and be like, well, I missed a meal, it's all done now.
Mm-hmm.
And I missed the second meal and I stopped going to the gym. So like my progression, I have to look at pictures to keep reminding myself of where I was a few years ago, because looking in the mirror doesn't work. And when my trainer tells me I look good, I don't believe him.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where like I have to go by the book, see my progress, rather than actually just saying I cannot mess anything up. That's the biggest thing right now for me.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Ready? Which of the 3 parts of the how, right? Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness is the hardest you feel to practice under extreme stress?
Wow. Good question. Not honesty. I'd say maybe being open-minded would be the most difficult part, because you have to be, I'm going to say, well, you have to be willing to do all of these things. I can't really separate open-minded and willingness. Honesty is kind of on its own. But like being open-minded to different things can be hard when you're anxious or you're sad or you're in a new state or you just went through a breakup. All of those things, being open-minded to like doing a new thing, that would definitely be the hardest thing for sure.
Yeah. All right, and last question for you.
Okay.
What is one specific mitzvah that you're going to perform before the end of the day that you can invite someone else to join in on?
That I can invite someone else to join in on.
From wherever they are, whenever they're listening.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not hard. Make someone smile. Call your mom, call your dad, call your grandma, call your sister, your brother, and make them smile. That's something that I will do. I would say like that smile you can put on someone else's face could change their entire day, and it will make you smile as well.
I love it. Simple acts of kindness, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. I want to give you a moment before we end. If you have any shout outs you want to give, maybe make someone smile while they're listening.
All right. Yeah, well, of course, shout out Yehuda. This podcast is awesome. It's really cool that you get to do this for a profession.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
It's really cool. Yeah. Shout out Rabbi Wilhelm.
Yes, sir.
Of course, the OG. Shout out Rob. And of course, my mom and my dad. Shout out them. I feel like I'm again given a Grammy right now. But shout out them. Like all of these people in my life have made such a crazy impact in every different way. And I think I'll just say my last thing here is appreciate your family while you can, because they will be there for you, ride or die. And that's something that you can't take for granted. So definitely appreciate your family and be thankful and make it clear.
Yeah, I think it's a good message to leave anyone listening with, and hope you share the episode with all those people you shouted out so they can hear you talk about all these great things.
Like, subscribe, share, hit that bell.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. And I always end by saying that the goal here is to change one person's life through this conversation. And in the Jewish tradition, we believe that if you've changed one life, it's as if you've changed the world in its entirety. So thank you for listening, and thanks for coming on, Dave.
Thanks, Yehuda.